The flight was meant to be ordinary. Passengers shuffled down the aisle, finding their seats, stowing bags in the cramped overhead bins. In 22C sat a woman who blended easily into the crowd. A faded hoodie, headphones slung around her neck, a paperback tucked into the seat pocket. Nobody looked twice. Nobody guessed that a single word tied to her past would soon halt the routine of flight attendants and bring the skies above to a standstill. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. Her name was Captain Leah Morgan, retired Air Force, decorated pilot, a call sign that had once been whispered in briefing rooms with reverence. But she wasn't Captain Morgan here. Not today. Today, she was just another traveler, sipping water from a plastic cup and trying to quiet memories that refused to fade. The plane pushed through the clouds, engines humming steady. But when a coded transmission from ground control reached the cockpit, the captain of the flight stiffened. One of the passengers had a flagged call sign, a name not seen in years. The message was clear: confirm her presence, ensure her safety. What had begun as a routine flight was no longer ordinary. Leah noticed the first signs in the small things: the flight attendants whispering near the galley, the subtle glances toward her row, and then the moment when the intercom clicked, and her old call sign, Falcon 2, was spoken softly by the pilot himself. Her heart stopped. She thought she'd left that world behind. She thought she'd never hear it again. She was wrong. Every instinct told her to stay quiet, to remain invisible. But she couldn't. Slowly, she stood, the passengers around her looking confused, curious. A middle-aged businessman leaned away, as though sensing something monumental was happening. A child peered over his seat, wide-eyed. The cabin was no longer just a cabin. It was a stage of silence, everyone waiting for the reveal. Leah nodded, once to the cockpit crew. The acknowledgement was enough. The call had been confirmed. Within minutes, the cabin lights flickered as the plane adjusted altitude. Out the window, a shadow appeared against the sun. An F-22 Raptor slicing through the sky with precision. Gasps spread through the passengers. Another followed, wingtip to wingtip, their movements sharp and synchronized, like dancers of war. "Why are there jets out there?" someone whispered. Another voice answered, trembling, "They're escorting us." The crowd fell into stunned silence as more fighters appeared, their silver bodies glinting like guardians in the sky. They weren't here for the flight in general. They were here for her. Leah sat back down, hands clenched tightly in her lap. The weight of the past pressed, heavy. She hadn't asked for recognition, nor for this spectacle in the skies. Yet she couldn't ignore the truth. The world still remembered her call sign. And the jets outside weren't just machines. They were a salute, a shield, a reminder of debts owed and courage remembered. For the other passengers, awe rippled into quiet respect. Some leaned across the aisle to whisper. Others raised their phones to capture the sight of Air Force One's shadow passing far above, escorted by the very fighters now circling them. And then, slowly, eyes turned back to Leah. The woman in 22C was no longer invisible. She was part of something larger than herself. In her heart, conflict burned. She had wanted peace, anonymity. But maybe peace didn't mean disappearing. Maybe it meant accepting that courage leaves ripples, ones you can't erase even when you want to. The F-22s held their formation, steady and sure. Their presence was both protective and symbolic, an unspoken message that heroes never truly fade into the crowd. because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back. And as the plane continued its journey, Leah pressed her forehead to the window, watching the sun gild the wings of the escorts. In their silent flight, she heard the echoes of her past, and the quiet reassurance that even in seat 22C, she had never stopped being Falcon 2. If this story stirred something in you, don't forget to subscribe and share it with someone who believes courage should never be forgotten. And tell me in the comments, do you think true heroes ever really disappear, or do their call signs live on forever?